Great, everyone. I believe we're recording. Yeah, we're recording. Just clicking around a little bit here. Yeah, thanks all for all joining. And at any time, this is an open mic. That anyone can ask a question or a comment, and you do it with your divine courtesy when you do that. So we're just Sister Nya and I were just began to speak a little bit getting ready before I started recording, but I believe this is important, so I'm going to start this one off in relation to that. So I'll just reiterate a bit of what I said. Before doing that, Sister Nya here just confirmed with her um, feeling this. And everyone forgive me, my words lately has been as you can see, you got to grab them like they're not just right there, coherently, if you will. So it's it's all normal. But with Sister Nya, what she was saying is that feeling the bodily, physical symptoms and sensations, but being consciously, if you will, detached from the influence. Um, into the negative thought processes, if you will, by them. And having said this, I've stated this. It has occurred several times in the past that I have stated that this would occur. And yes, with this, you could say that I'm saying I told you so before it occurred. But I mean, these are divine deliverances when I had them, and it's a sharing and a purveyance forward, so that at least at least some knows what is coming and are more informed with how to deal with it. But nevertheless, more more so recently, perhaps I think it was in September, we had mentioned we were going into a plunge in October, and during that plunge, many would succumb to the feelings of the ascension symptoms and sensations, but be able to retain the higher consciousness so that the consciousness did not lower into negativity and old fear paradigm influences and directions, meaning that if one let's say had trouble or had pain sensations in their heart, they would not associate it with a heart attack and thinking that something was wrong. They would rather attribute it just to ascension symptoms and that everything was fine. And also, as a course of the consciousness believing this and trusting this, what it does very quickly is advances the physical vessel with its cellular structure and evolving within, and also it doesn't create things that are not there, like a heart problem or what have you. Yeah, please share the empty for you go out. So.
What I say, it's like you, in the beginning, you are being pushed to observe the feelings, but there's no worry or no, you're not gonna go in. It's just here, and it's all fine. It stays, it goes, or it's all good.
Yeah, we're in that waiting mode. Um, is everyone hearing us loud enough on here? Because I did have some problems before. Are we loud?
Coming. Yeah, brother.
We're good? All right, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, and what Femke's speaking about is more like the surrender of the void space, but it's a waiting period as well, meaning that there's little interest in doing the other worldly things, if you will, but also there's little orientation or direction um, forward to, let's say, do anything in your daily routine that is different. So it's more so a waiting and focusing on what you know spiritually and divinely, and
Yeah, it's I said I knick no, but it's like yes, but it's like there's even sometimes no focus. There is just, I mean, you see things around you and you feel it, but it has no, it's, you see it, but it's not there anymore. So it has no, you are totally separate from it.
no influence. Yeah, it's you're the observer.
Or then observe, it's there, but it's not there. It's just, it's like there is a
Two different realities.
glass
that
plate
are-
between it. You see it, but you
that
don't feel it, and
are-
it's going. And there is nothing for me sometimes, nothing to focus because there is nothing for me to. There is no interest. I can't even find the words for it. There is no interest where I would. There,
normally
it's
put it or be attracted to. Yeah, the
yeah.
attraction um, is being reaverted, if you will, more to what will come with this period of stasis, waiting. What will come with this? It's not a stagnancy; it's a void. But then more direction will come as we go through this. So we're still waiting, let's say, divinely now. We feel that it's very close at hand because we're witnessing the disassociation from the old world and realigning and transitioning for the new. Now, for the advanced divine ones, many of us are sitting in the void because we're also waiting for the catch up of our other brothers and sisters that are also raising in consciousness, meaning that we cannot at this time go forward um, manually in the sense of divinely doing it until we have the rest with us. Then all goes forward. However, in this void space, the consciousness, focus, and sight still need to be toward the ascension, the heaven on earth, and all of these good things. But we're like just sitting out here, just waiting now.
Sometimes when you're sitting in what you call sitting out, waiting, it's like if I'm being pushed divinely to be in the now, that there's no other way. So when I'm in this space, then I'm already in a there. The old is not here anymore. Then even what I said, I see it or I know it's there, but it's not there.
Yeah, in the creational space, but it's like we're unable to create right yet to put more of the creation into it.
But
So
are you not already when you're in that space creating or anchoring or holding the
holding the space is the
but also the vibration from the new what's coming in.
yeah, keeping it connected as well, the new. Yeah, even though we're still here, and if you wish to envision that the new is just above our heads, we're holding the space, keeping connected to it to bring it right down. Yeah, to anchor it right down to ground level, if you will, is one way to envision it. So it's here, the floaty head sensations, or the vibrations as well, with muscle spasms, what you could call them, but these are these are divine symptoms as well. So there is so much going on with the respect to all of the ascension symptoms again. And openly, I wish they would be completely over, even for and Femke, because there was several years that that with this physical vessel, I didn't go through any of them. I would just get a facsimile or assimilation because I'm a teacher beforehand, typically 2 days beforehand. I would get a divine sensation and read the energetic imprint and read all of the information about it. So as a teacher, too, I'd put it out as soon as I received it 2 days before or a day before, and then you would get the feedback from the others when they began to experience it, but they were informed of what it was. So it assisted with the consciousness that where they had already known and heard of it, that they didn't resort to the unknown and attribute fear to it. But having said this, more notably, it's been the last, I would say, perhaps 9 months or maybe even a few more that this physical vessel I have has been feeling the physical ascension symptoms again. But also, we were told that this would occur again when I stated in September that we had to plunge down because we didn't have enough conscious lift, if you will, to create a paradigm shift overall. So, what we had to do again was drop down, if you will, in vibration with the physical vessel, but not our energetic vessel. That with the physical vessel, it resides on a certain vibration. So when you have one that is not awakened or just awakening or at the first levels of their awakening, their actual organic physical vessel vibrates at a lower rate. The frequency is lower. So for us to remain with the pack, if you will, what had occurred is that our chakras, energetic chakras, were tuned down to the level where the physical vessel could remain in the density with our other brothers and sisters, so that we were there to support at least and to hold space in their density while they were evolving. Um, so, having said this, I'm going to put my phone on. Having said this, many experienced phantom symptoms from, or phantom pains from a long time ago. What I've experienced just last night was two things. I don't have any of my own teeth yet. They had started to come out several years ago, but I got phantom toothaches last night as an example of this. So I'm just going to switch over to my phone. And before I go, I got a list of things here, but before I go too far ahead, is there any questions right now? Yeah, is there any questions right now for anyone or from anyone? Can you still hear me well? Can I get a check
We
on
can hear
that?
you fine, Rick. Yeah, I'm Kevin from Canada. I have a question concerning do you think a rapture like event will be required in order to go forward into the golden age of mankind? Thank you.
Here's what we've been working on manually, physically. We were taking the rapture event forward. We're still doing that. When you hear ones that spoke about in the past about a flash, if you will, flashpoint in a reset of reality, we are currently in the flash, and we've been in the flash since 2012, November 23rd of 2012, linear year to be more precise. However, at any given moment, when there is a certain focus and quotient of energy that's all aligned can still trigger a flashpoint event, if you will, that reality can reset. And in alignment with this, what you're asking and what you're saying, Kevin, from Father just a couple days ago, and when I say Father, it's Father Prime Creator, he says to me, you're ascending in December. But it's not just for I, it's for all of us that are ascending, if you will. Now, I didn't go further to ask if it is if it is the full-fledged rapture ascension, right directly into the new heaven on earth, or if it is just another notable leg up in the ascension, because we're constantly ascending ever since 2012. Does that?
Oh, I agree. We are ascending as a collective, but will there be enough at the proper ascension level in order to understand what is going on and going forward?
Let me say the ascension is guaranteed, it's ascertained, it's preordained. So there is no guessing, is the ascension going to occur? It's the thing of when. And the reason why it cannot, at least for I and what I'm given, be pinpointed yet is because there's variables with the co-creator souls that are here that are part of the whole collective. And what you still have is different levels of the consciousness collective that are on. And and when they're on so many different beliefs, it's like a pull me, push you, or whatever, that it's all chaotic. And this is the ascension to get all aligned, with the simple belief that there's a prime creator, you're connected to the prime creator, and this is the rapture, the ascension. And, simply always be positive, because energy is creation, and always be the kindest, best, virtuous one that you can be, hence the purification. And I just said it simply there, the requirements, if you will, in a couple sentences. Of course it takes longer, but many have done their purification, been through peeling the layers, and it's very quickly transmuted again with individuals. But instead of rambling on, it is still possible with this latest news, what I had received, Ascension in December. So let's see. And for I don't like ever putting dates on anything. And again, with just as an example, with GPMS.world, Father Ed a few months before told me to put out, it's very, very possible by November the 15th that it would have been implemented. Now, with that, for GPMS to be implemented is also on Earth, is also the ascension, because it is the implementation of the heaven on Earth scenario that, yes, was promised, and also it is the rapture, that literally it was interpreted in the Bible, with ones just raising up into the heaven in the sky. It's a metaphoric representation of changing the entire earth, what we're doing, hence the planetary ascension, to put it into paradise proportions once again. And having said that, everything is already here within touch right now on Gaia to do all of this.
So do you feel, Rick, that there will be some sort of separation amongst those that cannot ascend to go forward. Because as we well know, there are some that are just completely asleep and not aware of what's going on. So will there be like lower 3D that we know will create confusion or create malevolence going forward? So do we need to, I think we need to separate malevolence away from us on a permanent basis so we can go forward in benevolence.
You are correct, and that's what's occurring. See, for most upon Earth in this reality, they think that every humanoid here is human, is a soul, but it's not. There's about 1/4 of the 8 billion population on Earth, around 2 billion, that are not human souls. They are men made by men. And when you look at with the Beatitudes, what Jesus had said long ago on the Mount of Olives, he had said that distinctly back then. Do not and cannot go forward, and he had attributed that to this time, which is accurate. So, having said this, yes, when one say where we go one, we go all. What I say, whoa, I say, hold on, no, because the darkness cannot go. The darkness are not children of God, if you will. They were sub-created from another source that was from God, but it got defected or what have you. But this is not, it is not relevant or pertinent to the ascension on knowing everything, what happened, what went wrong divinely, because we're here to rectify everything. So again, we keep the focus on going forward. Now, what you're saying, what we'll say, is that there's no longer a 3D. The better term would be 4D, where everyone is occupying. And the reason I say this is because the 3D energetic world, Earth, that vanished in November 23rd of 2012. And everyone was transported to a fourth dimensional energetic space and Gaia, the Earth. And the reasoning for this as well was for ones that were divinely incarnated here on Earth to transition the world and to fulfill the promise and the deliverance of God in the rapture and the prophecies of this time. These ones had to be able to increase their energetic light force, if you will. And to do that, it could not be done in the third dimensional space. So hence, everyone was transported to a fourth dimensional space to fulfill their divine training, if you will, and their learning to be able to effect and change the world, but also to be able to be more connected with the actual energy of creation to facilitate that. Now, having said this, the overall divine mission is to, in the least, the ones that you're speaking about that are not awake, to place them in the first echelon of the fifth dimensional state of being, which is in harmony, equality, and abundance, and freedom, of course, and love and peace. Now, this is such an easy thing to do, meaning that monkey effect, which I like, and I use it, and also the analogy of one enlightened one affecting a million in their consciousness, then you see the numbers are relatively small to do this, and meaning that with the heaven on earth scenario, I can use like a metaphor of everyone winning a lottery ticket, but or winning a lottery. If you would ask them worldwide, right now, yes, they would want to win a lottery, most of them, so that their life and their freedom and their abundance is there. So, having said that, even though if they're not awake, hold on. Even if they're not awake, they want the new world. It's what all of the human souls want. And worldwide, the belief in God is so important. And when you look worldwide, that about 77%, which coincides with the human souls, they believe in some form of God or a supreme being, if you will. Now, many believes that they are the god and the goddess, which is a step in it, and which is a good thing because it ultimately leads to their own ascension. However, the ego has to be taken out of that if they think they're God and goddess. Very simply, all right, if someone says you are God, and you say, all right, what are you doing with this world? Why are you still living in a world of misery, sickness, and harmony if you are a God able to change it? So, very quickly, with one that is in that egocentric state of being that has not, let's say, risen enough to know what they're saying is not divinely founded nor substantiated, well, then with that whole thing, you can say, well, it's clear that you're not a god or a goddess. If you were, you would not be here in suffering, and you would not be supporting these sort of things. So just rambling around the bush. But what will occur simply is that humanity will be placed. They don't need to be educated. They don't need to be trained. What happens organically and by default, if you will, that once humanity is given the free world, they change instantly with their consciousness. So it doesn't need to, it's not as complicated as what one would think, if that answers it.
So you think the consciousness of all those that have chosen to work against God, as well as those that have chosen to work for God, will be changed equally to go forward?
No,
Or
no, no,
no?
no.
Okay, good,
All
good.
of those that chose to work against God are not children of God. They are not souls. Now,
Right.
you may have some in between as part of their learning experience, perhaps had to be atheist, but what occurs in an instant and in the moment that they come to believe and know more as well. So this happens, and again, it happens in a flash, if you will. I like to say a flash because it's instantaneous. But those minions, if you will, soulless minions and facets of the darkness, they remain behind on a fourth dimensional timeline that we're still occupying here and now. But what we actually do is we transition all of reality to affect what you could call a fifth dimensional state of being, where they do not have it to be able to vibrate at that higher frequency to be able to sustain a physical presentation in that reality. So physics, if you will, and this physics is also part of creational physics, which is the support of that. And there is no defiance of this as well. Without getting too deep into more of the dynamics and the physics with actual divinity. And with this, what ones know of physics on Earth, for sure, there are still many thoughts and beliefs and theories without fact. And that's just because they do not know yet all of the creational facts of physics. It's the next higher level.
So we might be vibrating at a higher level and speaking at a higher level of vibration that they might not even just they might just think we disappeared. You think, or their eyes
Yes,
can only see a certain vibrational range. So when we go above their vibrational range of sight and hearing, we just kind of become nothing to them, like we just disappear to them. Is that, am I on the right
well,
track here?
it's somewhat, you could say it like that, but more perhaps the easiest way to say is that a fifth dimensional exclusive Earth of its own is being created. So you have like a birthing process from, we have, let's say we have 4D Earth right here now where the minions of darkness exist. What's happening is energetically, but also energetically going into the physical, is a birthing of a fifth dimensional Earth that is going to be much different than this one.
One implode then, or just will it just cease to exist for us, or will it cease to exist for all?
No, what occurs is that on the fourth dimensional Earth, if you wish to look at it this way, the darkness remains behind. And what happens with the fourth dimensional Earth? It ultimately destructs after a course of perhaps 60 or 61 years. The old goes into it's a timeline just for the darkness herself. And at the end of that period, there is no more darkness that is left from that dimension. But it doesn't matter what occurs with them. Again, it matters what occurs with the human souls, which is Creator's promise. And that's what we're doing. So we are creating a new energetic and physical earth as well, but you cannot distinctly see it or know it because abstractly this is what's happening in the way that timelines and dimensions work. So again, without complicating things and creating confusion, it's simple just to say that yes, humanity is ascending, most of humanity, to the first echelon of the fifth dimension, which is the fifth dimensional state of being, which encompasses and includes only the positive, virtuous traits, behaviors, and energies. So if that answers, there was something else I was going to say, but it just lost
That's
for
where
an
we all
accent.
want to go. That's where we all want to go, right? Where we can't be affected by all that negative, the old paradigms ever
Well, this is
again.
absolutely, well, this is what's happening, Kevin. You know, the last 12 years, we have actually went through one full seven trial and tribulation period that ended in 2019. And this was mostly for the first, second, and third waivers. But then also what occurred, if you will, that there's been subsequent waves. So uh, incrementally within that time period, other 7 year periods have begun. But when I look at what Father give here in December, it perhaps looks like that all the 7 years of the individual trial to be finished perhaps in December. Now, again, it's a misconception for ones to think that the masses need to be awake. No, they do not. There is only a certain energetic quotient, excuse me, of the divine ones that need to be awake and in their power, and they affect the change for all of the masses. And that's why I say then the masses experience a instant uh, uplift, which is a rapture in their consciousness. And they don't need to be trained or educated. What it also does, it unlocks their inherent knowing that is already there in their soul. And you've already been seeing, perhaps, ones describing this as course of their spiritual journey suddenly that they didn't know before, and they would speak things that they didn't know they knew it. And this is an example of how unlocking the soul's knowledge and information that instantly you know things. Because the truth is, for the children of God, we are souls that existed for all time. There is no death. Only in the lower dimensional human experience was the mystery of death to keep the humanoid experience intact, if you will. If you didn't have that mechanism there, no one would have wanted to be in misery. If I ask you, if you got a choice, what world do you want to be in? All of you here is going to say the heaven on earth. So if you had all of that knowledge at a soul level, you would not even be here on earth. And I love those memes or those little videos that they make up to that effect. If you knew everything, you wouldn't be here and it'd be very difficult to stay. So, yes, the soul's memory of what you truly are has been dropped, and you can look at that as the veil of forgetfulness, but it's also uh, the conscious veil as well, without getting too deep into that, if that makes sense.
Thank you, Rick. That
Brother?
makes perfect sense. I just can't see I can't see everyone coming at the same level, if you know what I mean. I feel there's going to be way showers that will guide them as they wake up, or
That's all come to pass, though, Kevin. That's been here ever since,
happened
even
already.
before 2012. It has been seeded. So again, the point I'm making is that we don't need all of the masses to be on their spiritual journey. We only needed enough. And what's that magic number? Individual in quantity. I cannot readily tell you that, but what I can tell you is that we're very close to having that number in that. And I said it doesn't mean that we need all of the masses. It's not
Mhm.
how it works.
I see. So we'll all be raised to the level we require to be raised to in order to go forward, or be educated to go forward further.
Yeah. Well, let's look at this without the awakening. When you look worldwide at the masses, at the souls, you know, you you've experienced in your life, or perhaps many others, that you would find a very nice person, a very nice soul, even though they weren't awakened. They were loving. They had their virtues, their moralities. They're a very good person, even without being awakened. And the point that I need to bring up here is that upon earth, most are already like that are human souls. So it doesn't take a huge event. It only takes the choice for them to be in the world where they're not controlled and indoctrinated by the dark system. So it's very simply done. It's not as complicated as what ones would think, if that answers what you're asking.
Yeah, so we'll have real eyes to realize the real lies we've been through in our lives, and once we realize that, we'll know the truth is love and peace, and we'll be easily led there, to
Well,
further enlightenment.
the lies only serve the purpose to getting ones to the choice. And the choice is the GPMS.world. It is the divine plan. It is the ascension vehicles, meaning that the lies, what everyone knows to the degree that occurred, they are no longer required. They are let go because you don't need them any longer. You have the real truth of what you want and where you want to put your focus. So the lies have no relevance any longer in that. So it's not, and this is the trickery with many different lower levels of ascension. They think you need justice, you need vengeance, that you need war, even. No, you don't. These are fully awake. Also, politics I'll throw in there. Because many yet in the past, and I don't want to create it, they don't understand fully the actual evil on the planet and how the evil worked and the evil tactics. But neither do they need to be educated in it. Again, because as I said, we only need a certain light quotient, which is very few. If you want to look in, let's say it's 6 billion souls, you don't need all of them. You only need about 5 million that are empowered and in alignment as co-creators with the new world. Because understand, all of these individuals over the course, more notably since 2012, have been constantly increased in their divine prowess and their abilities, and particularly into their co-creator abilities. And this is also why the discipline with many with the inner work, and also the discipline with the disassociation from the material world, all of these things were part and parcel in the course of the individual's divine training to bring them in a place of discipline and responsibility to be able to hold the gift of co-creation and to be able to co-create with their brothers and sisters only good things, to create the world where lies did not exist. And that's what this is all about. So the lies only serve a purpose of revelation to a point, then they have no more relevance and they are dropped into the new world. And rightfully so, you would not want in the consciousness of co creators in a new heaven on earth where they are also creating with their consciousness, you would not want them to have any negative or fear thoughts in that consciousness. For if you did, then you would be creating the same world that you have here now because of the negative thoughts and the focus which creates reality and contaminates it. So, again, that's why the teachings and the ascension and spirituality is to be all that you can be and do everything with kindness, love, and integrity, and all of the positive virtues, and exclude, of course, and do not support any of the vices.
Brother, brother, several
Yes.
brothers and sisters joined, and I believe Renata had her hand raised to talk earlier. If you want to open up their mics.
Oh yeah, thank you, brother, for reminding me. I get rambling away, and oh yeah, I see. Yeah.
Thanks, Rick, for all you said today. I appreciate everything you said. Thanks.
Forgive me, everyone, that I had muted. I'm unmuting you all now. Yeah. I love you, Mike, brother. Thank you for reminding me.
You are, brother. I love you too.
Yeah, great. All right, good. Okay, now we're ready to rock and roll again. Everyone's unmuted. Any comments or questions? The floor is open. Go ahead.
Hi,
No,
Rick. Yes,
uh,
I'm having a question.
thank you. Go ahead, sister. Yeah, thank you.
Yes. So, as I understand this, so that means, because I think last week or something, I had an experience where I felt like I have ascended very much, like feeling connected with everything that is not existent, and you were connected, with the vast of consciousness. And then I felt like, okay, like a test run, right? And then I was back, in that reality where I am. But then something came into my mind, like, when we are ascending, when we are in that 5D reality, and there are different kind of consciousness. And I know, like, in the new reality, like specific tools that we have used right now for the ascension is not necessarily needed anymore. Like, it's more needed to hold space for the others, to climatize, with their consciousness. Is that true? So, like, I feel like they still need assistance to climatize to the new reality. So I'm just asking about this.
Oh, yes, definitely. Uh, and, the reality of what we truly are as divine, multi-dimensional beings, to even go deeper more into that and the attributes and the abilities that accompany what we truly are at the soul level. Uh, we don't want to go too far ahead with that complexity, because we're at, let's say, point A, which is the fourth dimension, and we're going to get to point B, which is the fifth dimensional state. And if you will, the other dimensions, point C, and just keep going on with what you're saying, is that yes, there will be tools that we had, if this is answering your question, in divine ways of doing things that will also not be necessary in the future. They'll become redundant, if you will. Is that answering what you're asking?
Yes, partly. I'm just curious, when we are in a when we have that higher reality anchored fully here, and since back then, what you have mentioned, that a lot of us were teleported in the 5D with different kind of levels of consciousness. Does this mean that when we have this newer, higher reality anchored here, so I know that will happen. So who are not that far advanced, so do they have an experience like they jump with their consciousness, like they are up leveling with their consciousness, or do they have to climatize, to slowly increase their consciousness? I'm just curious about that.
Well, both. I don't exclude any of it. And again, it's because of variables, if you will, that if there is the flash, the reset of reality, that is triggered by enough frequency, then yes, automatically. But if not, as we're proceeding now, they constantly acclimatize to a different higher level of consciousness. Does that answer it?
Yes, thank you.
Well, thank you. But if it doesn't, keep me going, because I have answers, I believe,
Our
for every.
chakras, clearing our energetic field and having our energy flow through our chakras, and some sort of practice of yoga in order to, help us go into the silence. This helps us with our, divine connection with Source, I think.
Yes, you need these identity labels and things that you identify so that you can take them, envision them, if you will, outside of yourself and even inside of yourself, and you can apply the conscious divine remedy to it as the course of going through your tests. And I love the ideology, the concept of the chakras, because yes, it does. And, also why it has such a strong credence, if you will, with this overall ascension is because it's been also imprinted throughout in beliefs, and especially, with the Chinese medicine and these sort of things as an example, but not only in the indigenous cultures and beliefs as well, that there are things that they have applied an identity to assist with one's transmutation and reconciliation as a soul, to uplift their self. So you could imagine, just imagine right now, everyone on here, perhaps all of you know about chakras. What if you didn't have that information? Then how would you then take your direction forward? Would it be all consciousness? Perhaps, but it makes it easier. So the assignment of energetic chakras are an excellent tool and a discovery and a learning also of how to practice with creation itself and with energy, because again, energy is creation. And to be introduced to that into the depths of energy, also you unlock the spheres of knowledge that is attached to it. But it's already knowledge that you have in your soul. So what you are actually doing is unlocking that knowledge that takes you forward as well. But now also it needs to be understood that yes, there is the supreme entity of mother and father, supreme beings, because there is a cap, there is a regulatory level, if you will, on how far one can go at any given time. And the reason for that, the regulator, is the divine plan with the ascension for humanity. And if you did not have this regulation, many of us, or even most of us, would not even be here, and our divine mission would not have been fulfilled again. So it's all brilliantly and ingeniously designed, the whole ascension and all of creation and how it works, and the releasing and unlocking of information at the soul level. But also importantly, the ascension is also designed that all of us divine ones, and we call us brothers and sisters, that it's been designed that at the soul level, through certain experiences and advancement forward, that pieces of the puzzle to advance to the next level are released. But it's designed in such a way that not one has all of the pieces of the puzzle. The pieces of the puzzle have been split up through us all. So it creates the unity as well, which is required for the overall planetary ascension. So when the ones master their suppressive humanoid ego, then they come into the place of surrender, if you will, at knowing that there is an actual, in the least, divine plan and that there's an actual God. Then they become aligned with that. Then they also go into, on earth here now, the selfless journey, because they have raised above the ego encapsulation of selfishness, the fear of surviving, of trying to survive. That is all let go of. And then they are able to perceive and understand that as a soul, all of you have already ascended. We're back here to do for the masses. So this mission is not about us. Yes, my mission is done. We go to whatever dimensional realities we want. But right now, and in the interim, it is about the others. It's not about us. It is about us to come all together as divine comrades and designees to affect the overall ascension. For the others, we are already ascended at any given time from prime creator, if you will. We can just vibrate right out of this reality. But again, we are regulated because it's not about us. It's about the younger souls and the satellite souls that are out there, even of us. But there comes the time with the ascension that you collect your satellite souls as the frequency of reality and creation come whole again, if you will. So there are ones that have, and having said that, while I'm right on this, for anyone that feels that there is a part of you missing right at this time in this reality, that it's what you would call a soul fractal, a satellite soul of you that is out somewhere on this present timeline. And by you having that missing sensation of something missing within you, it's most likely it's time for you to retrieve a satellite soul aspect of you. In the past, ones would call it a doppelganger, if you will, a doppelganger effect, where they would have a twin out. And if you saw yourself, it was all a fear propagation made around it in the past to protect the truth and the reality of it. But the truth and reality is that for all of you, you were not the only you that was on Earth. Now, right at this time, some of you at least have collected knowingly soul fractals, while others, unbeknownst to you, have been going through that process at every part of your spiritual course and your divine empowerment. You have been retrieving aspects of you. And what you can say, to keep it simple, to be in this world, in this lower dimension, you had to, let's say, if you were 100%, you had to create 98 other yous in this reality so that you could put your density, your energetic value at 2%, because you are the main creator of your fractals. But to put yourself in this reality, you had to be at such a level of energetic capacity of 2%. Now, in this great time, as we increase the frequency levels, then ones are able, let's say, to bring in a couple more of your soul fractals, and you become 5%. And with that 5% energetic value, it gets equated into the advancement of your physical vessel and also your consciousness in the line of divine knowledge. But I went way off on on a tangent there. Any other questions or comments?
I was just thinking of the as we peel away the layers of the onions of our old beliefs, our old paradigms that have controlled our inner core. So we're in the very middle of the onion. So as we peel away all those layers and become more aware of who we really are inside, it becomes not it becomes less complicated because it's smaller. It becomes more based on love. But as soon as we realize that it's all based on love and acceptance of others for just who they are and not, being less than or more than anyone else. Once we come to that realization in the very middle of the onion, that onion just kind of explodes and becomes into another onion 10 times bigger. So that's where we have to go. Peel away all those old past layers that are affecting us, the unforgiveness, the unworthiness, the self-loathing, all these negative traits that have held us back from our past experiences. We just peel them away and just throw them away because those past things can't affect us anymore. We have to live in the present moment. So as we go to that little core of that onion and we explode through it into a new golden age of mankind, we open up our awareness to 10 times what it was as well, to an onion 10 times bigger than what we started with. So I hope this analogy just helps us. Well, yeah, it's a good analogy to where we're going, I think, because our awareness, our self-awareness will just increase in a quantum level of exponentially, quantumly greater than we know or can even think of right now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what occurs is, the onion analogy is a great example to look at it because it is layered. And what's more important, as you eradicate the distortions, those are the layers. And as you eradicate the distortion, the fears, and the limitation, the layers come rapidly off. But also, what occurs typically in the past, and I don't want to create this in the future because divinely we are omitting steps, but in the past, to assist with the onion peeling, is the assigned experience that ones would be subjugated with to make a conscious imprint, and the conscious memory imprint would be applying the remedy to the test, which then creates the confirmation in the consciousness that it is fact by passing the test how to master the negativity. And then once that is imprinted in the consciousness, it gets embodied and recognized in the soul, that then it comes the knowing that you're always acting out of that. For example, if we say that one used to lie, when you can no longer lie, then that means the truth is embodied within you, and that you have at least established an embodiment. And with this again, it's so important, with the principles of the teachings of do not judge others. And one of the reasons for this, we have had ones of the light, if you will, that have, I got my fingers up here with the quotation marks. If you have ones that committed cardinal sins, even in this great time of ascension, if you will, some of these ones are, uh, to some degree, can be redeemed with the physical vessel intact. Now, without the physical vessel intact, it is a different process. But the point that I'm making is that it's not, while why each individual is kept away from judging another is very importantly not to put an energetic projection of complication upon the other as well. And it is and this is why we also say that each judges theirself by their own actions. Then, let's say, if one is a chronic liar, if they're a soul, but they are a chronic liar and it's been proven, then it is important to state the fact. So you are not judging one, then you are stating an important fact which assists with that chronic liar's advancement forward because it can no longer be hidden if the one is a soul. And of course, if the chronic liar is an evil one, then it's exposed as well. So it's always the win win situation. So, do we got any other questions or comments?
Can I ask? Can I ask something, Rick? Hello, do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. Go ahead. I don't know who it is yet, but
This is Maria. Yeah. I just wanted to add that, adding to what you said earlier about this is not about us, but about the collective, and the recent experiences are acting as kind of a regulatory measures. This was my own experience since, say, more than a week ago, but it's got much better now. That I can't call it a plunge, but it was some of the specific experiences that resurfacing that I knew I was certain it's not the inflammation that I was feeling in my gum, but nothing. It was nothing related to any dental issues because I had my checkup and everything was all right. And then I came back to my intuition. I forced myself to come out of the mental realm and not to think about that from the logical thinking and mentality. Then I noticed I was guided that this was a deep alchemizing of energy that I was used as kind of a vessel to project transmutation of energy at the collective. When you said that the ascension is not about us and we have already ascended, but if we're gonna get to that new earth, it is about the collective, at least at the quotient that meets that criteria for creating the new earth. It resonated a lot. Thinking about the physical symptoms that I was going to do, it didn't make sense at all. And I didn't feel them that it is mine because I knew I have already passed it, but I was feeling that. And I didn't have any choice to have a shortcut. And then just observing the pain, of course, wasn't as before in the past because it was not mine. I had already overridden and cleared them, but it was kind of a projection from the environment, which I tried to stay an observer. Sometimes it was difficult, especially when it came with the inflammation that I was feeling with the gum, but it was okay. And whatever it was, I went with the flow. At the same time, I had beautiful small synchronicities coming my way. I enjoyed them too. And the whole experience just showed me, and I discerned further that I'm getting closer to that destination point that is divinely planned. I need to be out of mentality at all, completely out, and make the harmony between the heart and mind. That it is working divinely, and it's a much bigger, beautiful force over me, much bigger than what I can apply. And let it go and just observe. I'm not saying I was 100% observer, but I did my best. And the more I practiced that, it became easier. And some nights was a bit of more sleeplessness, But some other nights I'd have very beautiful long blocks of sleep that I knew I wasn't in my body, and I didn't remember some of the details, but I just trusted that it is a bigger force that is beauty and at the bigger circle for the mass, and I just need to let it be. And what I see, as you said, very resonating, is about the regulatory measures that is divinely orchestrated for the masses, for the collective to get it there. And at the same time, I see many other people in my circle that have really had a beautiful jump and talk of some of the concepts that they really didn't have any idea or belief in those concepts in the past. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sister Miriam. One thing you brought up, I heard most of what you said. It sounded like you were a little bit garbled, but I got most of what you said. But I believe you said one thing there about you, but it doesn't matter if you said it or not. That is what come in. And what I need to say in relation to this, what I've known and let's say got some feedback on the last week that ones were experiencing like death-like sensations, if you will. And what I wish just to say with that to ones, it's normal for this time, but it's also indicative, very importantly, how you may feel like you're leaving your body, because it's also the introduction to more of the new world that we are creating as well. And, you know, I've seen Georgy Stankoff. He has, I believe, he coined the term many years ago, and it fits. And I love using that terminology as well, because what it is, with your physical vessel, you'll feel a sudden rapture, upliftment while your physical vessel remains where it's at, but also the beginning of the bilocation of your energetic vessel outside of your physical vessel, in astral projection, if you wish to look at it that way. But having said this, in the last week, a death process, if you will, could have been felt and experienced by the individuals with, you know, varying sensations. Again, because there are so many unique levels of the experience now that we don't exclude any. And with this, all is it's all the same thing. However, it's experienced a little bit differently, and in reality, it is all the same, that there is no uniqueness in it. But in this realm, um, one will feel that it's unique, but if they were instantly connected consciously to everyone worldwide or what have you, they would find that many more had the very same experience. But this is important because this is occurring as well, and this is a preparation for the ascension, the next level, which is occurring in December. As far as I'm given, it's somewhere. Sister Renata, I believe, is on here. She was given the 10th. I was given 12th and 13th and the 23rd. But even from today, 28th and 29th, all inclusive, we are in at least some sort of a significant ascension mode. If there's an actual pinpoint date, what I would say at this point, what Father said, is that perhaps the most noticeable date that when we could notice how much we have ascended would be on December 23rd. I will go that far at this time. With this ascension period, what I need to put in between, a few days ago, which began more predominantly, this ascension period is empowering the divine feminine, the divine mother again, more into their conscious love rather than just love. Because again, with this overall ascension, what it is with your navigation, um, soul navigation device, it's the connection with the heart and the soul, or the heart and the soul in the consciousness. But I like to say the heart in the consciousness working together as the ultimate navigational tool in this reality. And this is also what is occurring. So with the feminine, what ones of you may see, if you're advanced, where you're at in your level, in your reality, you may begin to see some other, let's say, younger feminine. You may see them become even more empowered in front of your eyes, and empowered in their knowing. And so this is occurring as well. And one of the reasons for this, uh, this this first echelon of the fifth dimensional reality that we are creating for the overall human experience, is the equality with the feminine and the masculine, meaning that typically in the old humanoid world, that the masculine would be the thinker, while the feminine would be the feeler. And the masculine associated with logical thought, while the feminine associated with the instinct, the feeling, the intuition. But again, in this great time, we are creating that equality. So the separation in the head and the feminine in the heart, that does not serve a equal harmonious reality. So as part of this is also what's occurring, where you'll see even more than you saw before, feminine higher in their soul's knowing, in their consciousness, and expliciting the signs outwards to others. So this is important to note, because the divine feminine as a whole, in conjunction with the divine plan, are being empowered to at least this effect. Any questions or comments?
I feel to balance the divine feminine and the divine masculine within, and then to have heart mind coherence in the way you think, gives us an easier place to, we can reach to the masculine, or we can reach to the feminine from that central place of balance. Even if we imagine ourselves in the very center of the yin yang symbol, the very center. So as it revolves, even if it revolves, we still are in the center. So we stay in that place of peace, because the center doesn't move as much as the outside does, or anything outside of it. So that's where we, can remain in a place of peace. So even the center of the medicine wheel for the native culture, if we stay the very center of all the directions and just give honor, just feel balanced with it, with everything around us, it just gives us such a sense of oneness more with everything, even with our fellow man, because we all can go to that place and have that same feeling that I do when I go there. So it's all about balance, I think, just balance between the divine feminine and the divine masculine within, though.
With this is what's occurring, but there is not that complete balance. As ones were able to achieve, let's say, a balance to accommodate their current reality, there is always the higher balance until we're out of here. So it's like an upward spiral, if you will, to that effect. And with this, again, typically in the past, you would have the masculine accusing the feminine of being distorted and vice versa. And the reasoning for that there was the overall distortion with the feminine calling masculine distorted and masculine calling feminine distorted. That overall distortion was there because of the separation of the consciousness and the heart, and the man and the feminine not understanding the man. So it caused the separation. Now, with what you're speaking about, a balance and harmony, yes, again, once one has achieved that a level of peace, you can be at peace in this reality, yet on the outside, on the external, you will still see remnants and representation of the distortion, because we are meant to eradicate the distortion as a whole. And when you look at yin yang, if you will, coming to balance, that was in antiquity, that was the goal to reach. What I need to say, uh, we'll take 2012. Since 2012, many have gone beyond that limited balance before. They have attained the peace. They know how things work. Now they're working on the external world from their co-creator basis to evolve the outside. So, again, it begins inside to have that full reflection on the outside. So we're still at the levels of creating the outside world to reflect the peace, love, harmony, all the good things we are. So it goes beyond uh, the yin yang, if you will, because what you're actually doing when you look at balance of the past teachings with come to peace and balance with the distortion. With the ascension, no, the distortion representing the black part eliminated. So you're going to have a full sphere of white light. There is no more darkness. There is no more distortion. And this is what we're going towards. So right now, no, this reality is not balanced. We are going towards the balance and the harmony at eliminating the distortion out of it. And again, it begins within each, and then that is attributed to the outside. And again, with this, when one achieves that level of balance and peace and then takes it beyond that by integrating within their being the outward energetic creations, projecting the good projections out there, one individual is able to change a million by doing this. And again, this is why we don't need the planet. Any other questions or comments by anyone else?
Hi, Rick. Somebody's barking. Hi. Okay, so I guess everybody hears me. Thank you for all of that. And again, always an amazing conversation and so much to learn. Before, Rick, when you were speaking about people calling somebody out of somebody's liar, etc., and something that came up for me through one of the chats, so it came through me, so much up for me, but this age-old discussion around shaming and blaming people for judging. And what came through in the in the chat was that that needed to be understood properly, and perhaps the semantics weren't quite right around it. So judgment is in itself a selfish act. When one judges, one makes a decision for the self, whereas when one is using discernment, it is based in compassion. So there is nothing, and it speaks to the discussion I believe in the last week or so, and around some stuff that has been going on for me regarding people acting out within groups, and in general, all kinds of things, and about what he's been writing about in his Truth Love channel, and it has to do with bringing the truth is born of discernment. And it's all that you were saying, Rick. It's just the words just came out a little bit different in the channeling. So when it comes from a truth that resonates within one, then we actually have a responsibility to be the mirror for the other and show them that behavior, for them to contemplate and to decide whether they want to change or not. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
I think we've spaced back on the Hermetic principle as above, so below, as within, so without. So if we transmute ourselves, we do our shadow work, we are transforming the lead, or transmuting the lead within into gold. So the more we transmute the lead within into gold, the more we can share our gold without, in order to create the golden age of mankind. But it has to come from within us, within the love in our hearts, and a humanitarian heart for others, before we can transmute it into gold amongst everyone. So I guess we have to do that as a collective in order to bring the gold without.
Well, yes, love is one of the fundamental keys, but again, it's not the only one. With this is truth is so powerful, and this is a bit of what Sister Renata was alluding to. At least is with the overall power of the truth, and it becomes with the truth the moral obligation to, let's say, submit a judgment, because it's not acceptable. I'll use an example with, let's say you are a good divine being and someone comes, screeching in your face, if you will, very angry. That's not acceptable. So it becomes the one's moral obligation to say it's not acceptable, do not accept it, but do not conceal it. In these things, do not turn the other cheek now and walk away from these important tests. What Jesus had said long ago, to turn the other cheek, yes, in those times, but we are now in the judgment days, if you will, where things change in the course of the actions, where the truth must persevere. And if one conceals theirself from speaking the truth, concealment is not transparency. Transparency is truth, which is God. And with this, again, this is why we also teach that it's so important for everyone to speak your truth, no matter what. Because when you speak your truth, it's coming from the heart. Now, it doesn't mean or matter that your truth that you're speaking is the absolute truth, but it is your level in your form of truth that needs to be put out there. And when it's put out there, if it's not fully refined to where it could be, by being wise and not a fool and listen, then you also are able to raise to higher truths by compiling all of the knowledge and the facts. So again, yes, truth is very important, fundamental, as well as love, and also the gratitude and other energetic positive attributes that affects the creational energy as a whole. But what you'll find, it's not just one thing like love. No, there are more important energetic attributes which creates the whole with it. And truth is a very important one. And it becomes again, the moral obligation of everyone to not turn a blind eye, because then darkness and distortion and evil remains. It is concealed. But what you are doing, if you turn a blind eye or turn the other cheek, you are allowing the distortion to continue to
With
being, to
with
speak
truth
your
comes
truth.
justice. Yes, with truth comes justice, and it's time for Jesus to drive the money changers out of the temple time, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, that's already occurring with GP. It has already occurred with the inception of GPMS.world here. What we are putting out, it's already here. This is the replacement system that it does exactly that. It has flipped the tables on the cabal, on the evil, on the darkness. It has disempowered them fully. It's just that yet enough of the consciousness doesn't realize it. But I won't go into the depths with the reasoning with that. So it's already been divinely accommodated and facilitated, and it's just being populated by the higher consciousness that is able to know that we are near the end of conquering the evil forever, hence the ascension into the heaven on earth scenario. Now, with much of the truth, also, it's a gray area, and it's important not to get entangled so far into the mess, if you will. So you need to also hold a place of discernment, as what Sister Renata is saying here. What battles, if you will, do you engage in? Well, you don't engage in any fear battles. You are always most optimal by taking the offensive, choosing, do you need to delve into shedding more light on an area, or will that be taken care of itself by God to let it go and let be? Do you need to apply some form of a truth remedy to it? Now, with this, it depends upon the individual and the situation. But again, by knowing what divine tools you have at your disposal at any given time, it gives you more remedies that you can apply to the situations. Now, it also needs to be understood by all that everything is set up now upon Earth to affect the implosion of anything negative, any distortion. So, what will occur and what is occurring if there is a bad, how will I put this? If there is a soulless minion that tries to suppress or diminish you in any way, being at how energetics work, if you do not diminish yourself and go into fear, any type of a fear response, what occurs is the energetics is set up that all of the negativity will be um, uh, put back upon the one that is doing it, and they will not be able to remain in your presence, to keep this simple. So with this, and then what it has upon the perpetrator, it has a compounding exponential effect of negative circumstance. And this is known as the wrath of God, that also a soul, if they do the bad things, they can activate their self. But in this great time, the energetics are amplified as such that for any soul that does something quite bad, the repercussions are multiple times now than any time in the past, because we are in ascension mode and they have to change their ways as well. So this is a very detailed, intricate discussion on this. And again, there are so many particulars, but there's also so many variants and different circumstances and different situations that one would have many options of, with their discernment, on what to choose on how to master the experience, if it's about their self mastery, or if it's something from the external that divinely has to be taken care of. So that discretion, divine discretion and discernment in any of those sort of circumstances needs to be looked at first. So it's always important to pause before you act, able to think things over before you deliver a response, if you deliver a response at all. Any other questions or comments?
Hi, Brother Rick.
My brother Terry, I love you so much. Go ahead, brother. What do you have for us tonight?
Well, I have one thing which is quite relevant to you. I think your Facebook page has been hacked because you just sent me a friend request and I'm already a friend with you, so that's one thing. And on the 20th of this month, I was in my sitting room. It was about 7 o'clock in the evening. I was just sitting down. I got up to close my curtains. I just put my side light on, and I had a loose shirt on, a loose shirt. So I just turned around to look, and then an energy entered me from my back. Then about 3 or 4 minutes afterwards, I had a pain in my left shoulder, which was there for about 5 minutes. It went down to my left elbow, continued for pain. Not very painful, but quite noticeable pain. Then it went to my wrist. It was there for about 10 minutes and then completely disappeared. I thought I'd share that with you.
Perfect, and I love it. And yes, I've got something to say about that. First, about the Facebook thing. Anyone receiving friends' requests, if you look at the profile of that, to know that it's me, it should have 24,000 followers. So any imposters, they should not have that on their pro or something. But this is one way to discern if it's I or not as well. So what you have is also, there's the um, trivial little things, the darkness. The only thing they have left to do is to desperately fight, if you will, to try to limit things. However, again, on the highest divine level, any of their resistance is futile. So it doesn't matter. We circumvent and we get through it all. But nevertheless, anyone to be aware of that. Usually with I do not send a friend's request to anyone. What I usually do is accept friends' requests. And if I send a message to, mostly will do is send a voice message. Then you know it's me. So if anyone receives any written messages that looks funny, ask for a voice message to confirm that it's I. Now, what you were saying about the energy that entered your back and went down your left arm, this for you, Terry, is an energetic upgrade. And in this case, it's quite possible it was part of your soul retrieval aspect to empower you even more. And with the soul retrieval, quote, unquote, soul retrieval process or aspect of you, let's say, for example, Terry, that this energy, which was a part of your energetic value, so let's say, Terry, you're 5% uh, in your energetic divine value, but it was time for you to increase. So let's say the soul fractal or what have you uh, was 1% of your energy that you had outstanding. So when you collect that, it could come in as a form of a ball of energy, that 1%, which would be noticeable in your physical vessel. But that ball of energy, if you will, came from another you that was out somewheres. And let's say that other you that was out somewheres in the world, upon retrieving this satellite, that they injured their arm. So when they come, when you retrieve your soul aspects, what can come along with it is the physical sensations, and also what one's experience sometimes is scars or that will just appear out of nowhere, because what you're doing is bringing not only the energetic soul fractal into your energetic complement, but also your physical vessel as well, your organic vessel. So the energy will project facsimiles or simulations of what your soul your soul aspect encountered just before it was collected. So you will get scars and bruises as well. But what this is, it's not any demonic invasion. It is actually the what this is with these experiences with the energy. It's actually benevolent, and it's actually part of yours. And by doing that quickly, it's added, if you will, uh, to your overall energy, and also with your consciousness. It affects everything, and it's part of your upliftment and raising you up. Now, also with this, things at times are also multi-layered with experiences and messages. And with this, what occurred with you, Terry, is that last week, I recall with Femke a very similar experience in her left shoulder, in her arm, and I had to perform what I call a galactic surgery, where I just go into a, if you will, the information on what to do to assist and alleviate the sensations with it. So I went in with that, and I had to go from the shoulder, and then I had to go down to the elbow because there was some form of an energetic blockage, and I didn't really go right down to the wrist, but I had run a sensation from the elbow down to the tip of the hand. And if I remember correctly, I think I had to instruct Femke, yes, to push the energy out through the hand. So what I'm describing here is the same, what you had more or less experienced as well. Now, when we look at this, because this identical thing happened, let's say with you and with Femke, and I also had similar things, phantom pains, well, which what I said earlier in the show, I was symptom free for many years, and all of a sudden these weird symptoms come back they're energetic symptoms that are messages and indicative of energetics that is occurring with the collective. But nevertheless, what we did also, because this may assist others, if you experience what Terry described and what I described, remember bringing, you can bring energy quickly in through your foot chakras. And it's best to be laying down on the bed when you get more of these sensations and pains. If you get more, I don't want to create it. I'd love to see everyone pain free right now and no more of these ridiculous symptoms as well. Your foot chakras, have your socks off, if you will, lay on the bed and bring that energy directly in through your feet. Bring it up through your legs. Do with it what you feel to do. Know that it's pure energy that is coming. It's not distorted energy. It's clear, pure energy that is coming from the outside. And you bring that into your vessel and apply it in different areas and be quiet with your consciousness to see if you are being guided divinely or by galactics or what have you, but keep your consciousness open for the direction, what you may think to do next with the energy, or you may even hear a distinct voice or a distinct telepathic transmission on what to do. And you can also alleviate the symptoms with that. Now, to the effectiveness, it depends upon the individual, your trust, your belief, and of course, how far you have advanced your crystalline body. And, there's so many things that determine on what degree that it can be effective. And also, with this, what I wish to say is that if you are very advanced and you've done your best and it didn't go away, know that it's there for a divine reason. Powers have been overridden. So it doesn't mean that you lost your powers or any of this. It's just there for a divine reason that you may not need to know the reasons why in the moment. And what I also say for ones, don't stress at looking for the reason why you have the symptoms. By not stressing and looking for it, you're more apt to receive why you have them just by being open and surrendering. So what about that, Terry?
Thank you very much, Brother Rick. Thank you. Really
Thank you.
that information.
Rick, should we try to gather all our fractalities into one for such a time as this? Like, originally we are divine fractals of Creator. Now, should we gather us all together for such a time so we have all of us within, you know what I mean, from all multi-dimensions?
No, I don't, because you don't want to control the situation, if you will. And it wouldn't also, to what I'm given in my divine knowledge, it would not work. For if you were to bring back all of your soul fractals, you would not even exist here because it's all about energy. So you do it prudently and responsibly when you feel to do it, or when it resonates with you. If you hear that I say that if you have any outstanding, to bring them in, you bring them in incrementally. What you're dealing with is creational energy here and frequency and vibration. So not anyone sustain an existence in this lower dimension other than perhaps prime creator, mother and father theirself, by having all of their 100% energetic divine soul value here. And this is one of the reasons why God, if you will, has not been really on the planet, that things are done from the higher dimension and delivered through the conduits, the children of God, to do it here. If 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 reality and creation existed, that God could just ascend, let's say, the entire planet, it would have already been done. We would not need to do this work. So, as one example, with the reasoning why to bring all of your soul aspects into one, you just simply would not be in this dimension. So, just do it incrementally as we upscale through the layers and levels of ascension. Does that make sense?
Yes, but as people remember their Akashic, that's other dimensions as well. So if you can remember the past of your Akashic records or travel back into your Akashic records,
Travel
so
back,
just
and,
by doing
and
that.
why travel back, and why attribute your forward knowledge to an Akashic record? Why limit yourself thinking that an Akashic record has everything written when quite possibly it may not, and it could loop you back into something that you've already experienced? So what I say with one's looking at Akashic records, and to what respect you do, know that in the moment you are not bound nor restricted by any limitations that this might suggest. And what I say for once, the answers are not in the past, they are actually in the future. And by being in the now and being in that surrender in the now, that the answers and the tools that you need to go forward rather than you needing to search for them. So ones can keep it simple or you can keep it complicated. But with this Akashic record thing, as you're seeing, it depends on its presentation to how it would benefit in work. Yes, everything that is out there to some degree benefits some audience on certain levels of their advancement. But again, it's important to use the divine discernment at what is actually assisting you forward and what is actually taking your consciousness into the past experience that you already had. So, I'd offer those couple perspectives or contemplations in that respect.
Can I just jump in here quickly, Rick? Thank you so much. And it's recently come to my attention or my realization in the understanding of the Akashic Records is that once again, just like the moon and the recycling of souls, etc., etc., this concept of these records is once again a deception, and so that they can mirror back to us aspects of the false matrix, and it's just another trap for us to sidestep our direct connectivity with Mother, Father, Creator. Anyway, that resonates with me, so I'm just going to table that for everybody. Thanks.
Oh, so it's just part of our DNA. There's no such thing as records per se. It's just part of us that we.
I would not say, when we look, if you're saying it's part of the DNA, I'd like to say no, it's not in that respect. I like what Sister Renata said there, because without I delving into the particulars why it doesn't fully resonate, I just generically said that I feel it limits and it restricts. And if you look, and again, it depends on the presentation of it by the individual. Does it format perfectly, and does it fit going forward with the Ascension? Or does it take one on a tailspin, if you will, that will distract and disorient? So again, it depends on how it's perceived by the individual. And with this, again, just keep everything simple to what empowers you and what advances you forward is what I suggest. There are things that will come and go along the journey. There are things that will resonate one day to be what you feel is the absolute truth, but then the next day you'll come to find that it's not, that you have found a higher truth and a better way. So this is why you need to keep neutral, keep objective, to the degree that you do not draw conclusions on anything, because also the full truth is not known by any of us here, if you will. If it was known, again, we would not be here. So it's obvious that there are increments delivered as we ascend the levels of truth. So again, strip yourself bare naked, if you will, to go through it. Don't hold on to anything knowing that it'll come and go, is what I suggest. Anyone else with a comment or a question?
So the quantum consciousness is evolving.
Define quantum consciousness, please. And Laura, just hold on for a moment, and we'll get to you shortly. Thank you. Define quantum consciousness.
The consciousness of the all, of the one, of all creation.
Does all creation include the darkness to you?
I guess it would. I guess it would have to, but no, I don't know. That was not. I don't really think so. No, that was a consciousness of something other than source, I think.
Yeah. See, this is the tricky thing, and
Yeah,
this is
yeah. It was a
simpler
creation
with
of
it.
a creation of a creation that shouldn't have been allowed to be created.
Yeah. So you don't want to include the darkness in the quantum consciousness, if you will. So then it's not a quantum consciousness in that respect. That's why perhaps a better choice of words or better identity labels can be used, if you will. But nevertheless, it's the collective consciousness, which is mostly recognized to my knowing as the divine consciousness. And I use that identity label, the collective consciousness, because of the divine collective. And, having said that, perhaps it would be a better practice for I, at any referencing to the collective consciousness, to put the adjective, if you will, divine in front of it to more identify what it is. So that's a great consideration.